Claustrophobic. Oops. It's murder on my bit rate. Oh. Hear him. Can't see him. Spooky. They just give you too many grenades. Whoa, still alive. What's up, man? Oh. Ah. I want to run back on that one. Play everything. Literally everything. You gotta take a holistic approach if you want to be the best, you know what I mean? Actually, we'll come back to this. This map's a little flat. This is all just a crazy regimen to get ready for Marathon. Actually, tried this map in warm-up. Seeing faces where there shouldn't be faces by Skaki. You know, if you can give the Quake guys anything, it's... they think of really good level names. I think my favorite, though, ever, it's gotta be a head reattachment trauma. That one's really good. It's pretty. You wouldn't think that this is an engine from 1996. Thanks for the support, man. I really appreciate it. The new video should be out tomorrow, actually. I was working on it this morning before I decided to take a break. I could only imagine how it feels to do video editing, to do video editing for a living. I get like one little chunk of it done and I feel my soul leave my body. The writing process and the the streaming process, and just sort of everything before editing is awesome. It's like really fun, and then you have to put it all together and it sucks. Although I had some fun with it. I especially liked the music in these videos. Is a lot of fun because it gets me to sort of look at the tracks for old Halo games and old Marathon. Oh, almost said too much. And old Bungie games a little deeper than I usually would. And it's giving me a lot of cool music to listen to when I'm reading or studying or doing anything. It's especially cool to see what tracks I can get to link together between separate games. Like the Halo 2 video uses songs from Halo 1. I've got stuff from Halo 3 in there. You know, Marty kept a pretty solid through line through all this stuff. What game did you edit for? Don't tell me what it looks like. Nope. I've heard of it. There was another, I never played Heroes, but I think around the same time, EA was dipping their toes into premium gaming with Battlefield Play for free, too. You know? When you're a kid and you've got no money, you know, you take what you can get. I think Play for Free was based on the Battlefield 2 engine, but I can't prove it. Heroes actually, I think, went down a while back. Whoa. You know, you say 2015, and my brain thinks, oh, that's not that long ago. And then you come to realize that it's been 10 years. Christ, I can't even imagine what I was doing in 2015. So I land on this hedge. Cool. Was Battlefield Heroes the first hero shooter? And it's right in the title, right? Can hit him. Come on. Interesting little quirk of Quake's models is the bounding boxes are fucking huge. So take this ogre for instance. You know, conventional wisdom would tell you, let me get rid of his buddies first. Conventional wisdom would tell you that the ogre's hitboxes are exactly what you see. But Quake actually calculates its collision based off of the models or rather the collision hulls themselves, like how a rocket launcher would work in a modern game. So if I shoot my shotgun directly to his left, I'm hitting his bounding box, so I'm getting the hit. I can aim actually way far off and still score a hit. Some of the monsters in the game have really small collision hulls or collision boxes, and others have really large ones. The Death Knights, for example, are on the smaller side. These guys, I can't really fudge it as much. But it'll let you set up some unique stuff on, say, the Fiends, which you'll see probably this wave. Shamblers, and Ogres. Quake has a really unique enemy roster. It's actually missing a couple pieces, though. It's not nearly as complete as Doom. I think that actually might have... Yeah, there's a Fiend. Fiends have huge collision hulls. I think that actually might be why the game isn't as popular, at least on the single-player front. Because it's bestiary, or bestiary. I learned that it's pronounced bestiary the other day. Its bestiary is so weird and kind of off-kilter and incomplete. Get rid of these. Steer the Fiend into it. Unfortunately, this game's enemies are a little binary, a little one note, where you can get them infighting if they hit each other, but if the enemy is dead, the Whoa. That was weird. Where'd he go? He like teleported. I think he's down there. Yeah, there he is. How the hell did that happen? Weird. This looks neat. I would hide something over here. More Fiends. Fiends have a huge collision box. I actually think this guy is too fat to even get out of this room. Oh, there we go. We're the same age. It's pretty crazy. So, the Quake has an interesting family tree. This game is kind of like... You ever heard... There's a rumor. It's like, it's kind of like a... there's no way to prove it, right? That like Genghis Khan had so many illegitimate children. Like, if you're from anywhere in Asia, it's likely you have his bloodline in you. Quake is a lot like that. Officially, I think there were 4 single-player games. 1, 2, 3 arena, team arena, 4, and champions. That's 5, I think. 5 main games, 6 counting weird expansions, but the real thing about Quake is this was the way, for a long time, even to this day, this was the way you did 3D. Obviously, you know, we're looking at it through a modern lens. This map would probably set a period... Oh, Shambler. Would set probably a period-accurate computer on fire. But this is the way you render 3D. It uses like this weird technique that some scientist or researcher sussed out in like the 70s just as a proof of concept or a concept called binary space partitioning. And that's how we make 3D games, period. It's just the most efficient way to render the maps, render the games. Halo uses binary space partitioning. Marathon uses binary space partitioning, I think, because that's technically a 3D game. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Basically, Quake is everywhere. I mean, if you've ever played, like, Counter-Strike, there are commands and little development leftovers in Counter-Strike 2 and Counter-Strike Go, or Global Offensive, that are from Quake. Shit, like, my sensitivity is 1.3, that's the source value. Like, if I just boot up CS, my sense would be 1.3. It's all the same. Quake is literally everywhere. I want that lightning, man. Quad, huh? As to rate them, a lot of people go to bat for Quake 1. A lot of people hate Quake 2. Quake 1 is cheap. Very, very cheap. It actually recently got a re-release on Steam and consoles from Night Dive. And there's rumors that this year at QuakeCon they're gonna announce a new game. Could be Quake, could be anything. It's definitely got a style. That's for sure. There are probably less... The way games render graphics, they use triangles. Some systems like the Sega Saturn used quads, but... or squares. There are probably less polygon... What is this? Like, you could probably count them individually as he fades away. There are probably more polygons, or less polygons in the entirety of Quake 1. And this map obviously breaks the limits, so that looks very nice. But there are probably less polygons in the entirety of Quake 1 than, say, a modern player model. This game predates graphics cards. It's the reason we have graphics cards, which is pretty cool. Quake birthed esports. Quake birthed 3D FPS. It birthed gamer mouse pads. Everything. Everything you could possibly think of. This is the inflection point, or the inversion point. This is the start. And it looks like this. This is the first game with rocket jumping. This is the first game with bunny hopping. Peace, dude. Have a good one. Check back tomorrow for the new video, man. What? Did I die? I wonder how I died. Oh, I know what happened. I shot the Shambler with quad damage. I walked into the rocket launcher, and weapon auto switch spawned me, or rather, switched me to the rocket launcher, and I shot the Shambler point blank with a quad rocket, and killed myself. Well, you know what they say. You should never let poets lie to you. Moving on. Steelbreaker. Sounds fun. Ooh. Boggy. Very, very small. It's claustrophobic even. It looks nice though. Dark blue. Haha, see ya. Out of here. It's so small. I don't know if this water hurts. They're raising higher. Doesn't look like it. It's a good map. Hey Ray, I almost called you Quake. This is Quake. For DOS and Windows. It's a very old game. It's older than me. Although it was so popular in its heyday that people still make maps and mods for it. Including me. Yep. Made a couple maps. It helps that Quake has one of the best level editors I've ever used. Like on the level of 343's Forge. They're not very good, mind you. I've always been more of a player than a builder. I like to break stuff, not put it together. Just about everything you enjoy in modern gaming owes its existence to Quake. And kind of the movement that it spawned in computer graphics and 3D computer graphics. I was talking to another viewer just earlier and talking about real nerdy shit. I probably scared him off. Binary space partitioning. An idea conceived back in the 1970s as a concept that was implemented for Quake. This game predates dedicated graphics hardware, so even in consoles you have sort of a fancy little computer part that just handles all the rendering. And before Quake, more specifically before GL Quake, you put that all on the CPU. There was no standard for how you got 3D graphics working, and for that reason it was exceptionally rare to see 3D graphics. Even games like Doom, which were lauded for being a 3D action game, weren't actually 3D. They were kind of like a hack. In any case, Quake was the first... I say first, but Marathon was the first. I say Quake is the first successful... Well, Marathon was successful. Quake is just really old, is what I'm trying to get at. Uh-oh. So this is a unique little mod for Quake that turns it into a sort of horde shooter survival game, which is a lot of fun. No, not a stupid question at all. Let me tell you about Quake's multiplayer. There has never been a more overrated piece of dog shit than Quake's multiplayer. That being said, Quake is among Quake's first, among what Quake invented the idea of esports, competitive multiplayer, especially among shooters. So Quake did not ship with great netplay, but it shipped with I'm almost dead. But it shipped with netplay nonetheless. And Quake was so incredibly popular online, much like Doom, id Software's previous game, that there were tournaments, the birth of damn, I got smoked. The birth of esports, and very famously, one of the winners of one of these tournaments, Red Annihilation, who was known as Thresh, who was a very talented Quake player. In fact, let me boot up the multiplayer, or something similar to the multiplayer. Whoops. Deathmatch Arena. I like DM1. So, there are no players on this map, but Quake is sort of a lot of like Halo, or a lot like Halo, where it's an arena shooter. You roam the level, and you pick up items like health, ammo, don't look, that's a little gruesome, and weapons, and you kill each other. There were mods for the game that added objectives to the multiplayer game modes. But basically, this was the birth of the arena shooter. The idea, you know, you walk around, you pick up stuff, and you hunt your opponent. And Thresh, who was among one of the best deathmatchers at the time, won John Carmack, the head programmer on Quake, won John Carmack's Ferrari at the, I think, the 1997 Red Annihilation tournament. Thresh, I think, went on to have a very, very successful career in esports, but mostly as a manager. It's a cool looking map. Anyway. Oh, I'm still in deathmatch mode. Oops. Quake had pretty cool co-op too, now that I remember. And it has, the reason I play it, this incredibly old game, the reason you play any old game like this is because the movement is really, really good. 3 Janus. Or Janus. Janus? Ooh, that's like the sun. It's cool. Ruins of Maria. I recognize some of these names. Well, 3 Janus. I can't just not pick 3 Janus. It's cool looking. Quad. I would hide something up there. Oh, cool. 4th. I don't know what that means. Slasher. Oh, huh. Must be a bonus mode. Oh, goodness. That's like a high-level enemy you're throwing at me at the first wave. I think I'm out of ammo. Huh. Whoa! He's too fast. These guys are brutal. Quad. Wow, look at all these traps. This is cool. Let me try this map over again. Let me try it the real way. I love traps. Dasher. Oh, okay. Slasher, Dasher, Prancer, Dancer, and Vixen. Whoa! This is neat. Two monsters left. I wonder if every wave's going to have a unique name. Ah, I missed. I'm gonna try again. Ah. Got him. Oh, Ray, I'm gonna, the video should be done by tomorrow. I finished the first half today, or this morning, before breakfast, actually. And I have to record the voiceover and edit together the stream VOD, which shouldn't take shouldn't take a long time. It's really not that hard. I like how this one came out, honestly. What's up, goober? Who you calling a goober, gabber? We're playing Quake today. Just for a little while. Until my girlfriend wakes up. I have nothing. No ammo, no nothing. Ooh, infighting, cool. I gotta punch him to death. Does no damage. It's taking some time. I'm a fucking moron. Alright, let me try that again. Oh, hey. That's cool. 3 Janus. I wonder what that even means. In any case, I like how it came out. There's always sort of this imposter syndrome whenever you finish anything. where you always, and I've kind of worked my way around it to the best of my ability. But for example, like you'll finish it, or you'll finish a part, you'll hit a milestone, like the intro's done, the script is done, yada yada, so on and so forth. I've noticed, especially with VidMaster Forever, the TF2 video was like, I think it's perfect. I wouldn't change a damn thing, ironically. But with VidMaster Forever, I always think, you know, did I forget anything? Am I gonna look back at this video in, you know, 10 years, God forbid, and think, wow, I was so stupid. How could I possibly make a video this terrible? I haven't really felt that way with most of the things that I've worked on, but VidMaster Forever, I mean, I'm kind of like, I won't mince words, I don't belong here. Like, Marathon has existed before I was born, you know, 1994. It's older than me, and it will exist long after I'm dead. So co-opting the title, you know, kind of was a ballsy move, and I don't want to put out what it amounts to essentially garbage. This will probably become less of an issue when the new Marathon comes out, and, you know, and a huge crop of Fairweather fans just flood the community. But right now, it's still very indie, underground, I'd say so. Thank you, Rover. That's very nice of you. Personally, it's what I'm not really doing it for anybody else other than myself. I kind of, I'd played Marathon before the Mandalore video. I guess that makes me an OG, but I had never really come to appreciate. I hadn't played Marathon Infinity or even much of 2. I had only played 1, and I'll admit I thought it was terrible. I still maintain that Marathon 1 is not great. But you know, those Mandalore videos maybe revisit the game and come to appreciate them in a way I hadn't really before. And that's not necessarily because of the video itself, although it certainly helped. You know, Mandalore is an excellent storyteller, but I think I finally came around to it. I was finally at the maturity level where I understood. And the more I played the game, the more I found that I could sort of come to terms with it and come to its level, and I just fell in love with it. And that kind of birthed VidMaster Forever, where I would basically play the game for a couple hours. I play Marathon 1, or I'm working my way through 2 on a higher difficulty now, but I would basically play for an hour or 2, and then I would go on the Marathon story website, marathonbungie.org? Yeah, org, because .net is official Bungie. And I'd just read, I'd pore over it, and I would just be fascinated enamored even, with how it almost feels like it was an accident that Marathon ended up as good as it did. I'll be frank. And I'm so passionate about it because I hope that sort of level of passion comes back for the reboot. That's actually chief among why I'm so worried about it. Damn, there are so many traps here. The fuck, does Ted Nugent live here? In any case, I think the spirit of VidMastery is not only to make games that you want to play, and I think Bungie has done that for a tremendously long time, longer than any other game developer. And beyond playing games or making games that you want to play, I think VidMastery is playing those games to death, making those games, I don't want to sound too addicted, but making those games essentially part of your personality, part of yourself. Because in their art, you know, it's their games are art, and I think in many ways they surpass art because you can experience them in so many different ways as an interactive medium. You know, that creates problems, and, you know, people have gone back and forth on whether or not games are art for a long time now. But I truly think they are, and if they're not, I think they are beyond art. And VidMastery is coming to a holistic appreciation of that art because it is simply so good that you cannot tear yourself away from it. I want more games where I feel like I need to call out of work to play them. That's VidMastery. You know, I want more games that feel like they were made for me, and that I could see myself playing them for the rest of my life. That's VidMastery, and I think Marathon after 2. Marathon 1 is not Not a fan of Marathon 1. But Marathon 2 and onward feel like games that were fucking made for me. And I'm honestly kicking myself I didn't play them earlier. Or play them sooner. And I hope the reboot is exactly that. It's something that's... Ironically, it's funny you mentioned Halo Infinite, and I'll lump in Destiny by extension. Actually, chief among why I'm so worried about it is Destiny does not feel like... It feels like art for the everyman, which is fine. You know, plenty of Bungie's most popular games have been... How would I say... Plenty of Bungie's most popular games have been approached and appreciated by, you know, totally regular people who play them for 8 hours and then never touch them again. When Halo was the big thing, you know, very few people understood the nuances of its story, or, you know, how far it could really go, how it can connect to every other property Bungie has worked on. But for the people that, the difference is where Bungie excels as a game developer is they give those lifers something to chew on. And that's Marathon. You know, it's like, it's incredible that they could have so much foresight that you could, like, Hamish, the guy who runs the Marathon News Archive, like, is still finding out new things about this game, about how deep the rabbit hole goes. And that's so awesome. That's Marathon. It's like, it's more than a game, it's just this never-ending rabbit hole where everything connects to everything, and there's so much thoughtfulness put into the story, the characters. It's revolutionary not just on its own of being this, you know, funny little shooter that introduced stories to people, but the writing is so good. The sci-fi concepts they touch on are incredible. It's not just, you know, oh, what type of to lash out a little bit. It's not just, oh, what type of money do they use in the future? Oh, they use credits. It's like, that's so lazy. You know, Marathon is the exact opposite, where it feels totally alien, totally interesting. This humor. For a first outing, Marathon's story is utterly incredible. I can't say much about the gameplay. Marathon 2 fixes a lot of those issues, but for a first outing, Marathon 1's story is incredible. The writing is incredible. It's like, Greg Kirkpatrick is a wizard. I don't know how he did it. Like, I truly don't know how he did it. Like, he went to school for astronomy, and he ended up writing one of the most interesting and poignant video game stories of all time. It's amazing to me that that's his claim to fame, and he doesn't even write anymore, or he doesn't even write for games anymore. He's totally out. He came in, he gave me one of the greatest stories I've ever heard, and then he left. That's unreal. Oh, come on. Into the doorway. I'm gonna get him. Bang. Oh, bet you feel stupid, idiot. Oh, shit. Ow. Ouch. I'm gonna jump into the lava and try another map. Hey, Darth. Jesus Christ. Everyone's here. How you doing, man? You guys have today off or something? Isn't it, what is it, Tuesday? It's Tuesday at 11 a.m. Shouldn't you be in school right now? Well, it's summer. It's summertime. It's where all my students are. The Haram Palace? Or the Haram Place? That might be up next. I know MFX, so I gotta play his map first. Yeah, this is exactly what I expected. Look at this. Congratulations! Are you planning to go to college? Or did you just graduate college and now you're entering the workforce? Jeez. This is striking. Look at this. This is gorgeous. Actually, let me fly around here. Look at that. This is like a postcard. Oh, hey, check that out. Yeah, it kind of does look like Gas Giant. No chains in Gas Giant. No chains, but floating, middle of the void, nothing but clouds, a couple mountains. We're a little lower than Gas Giant. What the? Oh, wow. Huh. It's a teleporter. Neat. Alright, let's play it for real. I'll go back. Ah! Well, I can tell you what not to do. You go in for communications, like I did. Lab work is always in demand. My roommate did biochem, and it's to the point where he can't even explain his job to me. I genuinely cannot parse what the hell he is talking about. And it's like he could be making shit up for all I know. He could be like, oh yeah, I had to put the doobly-doo in the centrifuge, blah blah. And I'd be like, oh yeah, that's sick. Cool, man, that's cool. More than anything, especially if you can get there on a grant, college kind of feels like the launch ramp to reality. At least that's what I kind of felt it as. I didn't really feel like an adult coming out of high school. I graduated 4 years ago. I graduated college 4 years ago. But, or I think 3 to 4? Time just kind of all runs together these days. But college, and higher education in general, feels like a launch ramp to reality where you get, if you live on campus, you get to experience things that you didn't in high school, you get to figure it out, you get to drink, it's a launch ramp, it's a buffer. A lot of people find success in taking a gap year. I think it's very formative for a lot of people. People come back from college and from really anything out of high school, and they're changed people. They kind of fill out their personality. Like, your brain doesn't stop growing until, what, you're 27? So the majority of your growth as a person actually comes after you exit high school. It's definitely a big adjustment, a big jump. I mean, I've always maintained that it's always kind of fucked up and a little weird that, you come out of high school and you essentially you have a situation where you have a situation where 18-year-olds go from having to ask to use the restroom to having to figure out and plan out the remainder of their life. In just a one summer, you have to make that change. I always thought that was so weird. But it's the world we live in. Oh, I telefragged that guy. That was cool. Oh, I fucking... Probably a couple more lights. A gap year is a great idea, especially if you can pin down maybe a part-time job over the summer. That's what I did. Or rather, I didn't even take a gap year. I just did a job over the summer, had some petty cash going into my first year, and it was a lot easier. Because, you're probably in a unique mental state where the first summer out of high school, you kind of feel directionless because there are no goals set up for you. Nothing is preordained. You're totally let off the leash. After essentially, what, 17 if you were born in November, 18 years of being shuttled around, being told what to do. Now you're just expected to figure it out. Oh, that's my guy. This mod actually spawns little minion dudes that help you out. But there's no standard to who they are. It's always been the enforcer, this little guy. They have a little point light attached to him, so you can kind of make him out. See how, like, if he walks over here, you can see he's glowing. But some maps spawn enforcers as enemies, which is weird, so... I'll grab these nails. If I fall off the map, I don't... It's the most dangerous enemy in the game. Go mow a couple lawns, just spend some time outside. Anything. Any buffer. But biochem's a great idea, especially if you're not going into STEM. You can go into pharmaceuticals, Yeah. Oh, you have no idea. I still remember, I'm very nostalgic for, not the summer before college, but the summer during college, because it gave me like an anchor knowing I would go back and, make more progress towards a degree. I remember very specifically, I had already been a PC gamer for many years at that point, and I remember every summer I would get both new games to play and ports to play. And I did some fucking damage to my backlog that summer. Basically, I would come out of school, I'd come out of college every year, and I would basically get a part-time job doing anything, literally anything. One summer I carried pipe at a construction site. One summer I bagged groceries, so on and so forth. And I remember the best one yet was my sophomore year, I think, of college. My sophomore year of college, I came out and Yakuza 0 had just gotten a Western release and a PC port. And my days were, I don't think before or since I had ever had a game that I played that obsessively. I remember I would wake up, I'd do a 4-mile run, so I lived out in the woods back then. I would do a 4-mile run around town, and then I'd go have a big breakfast, and I'd sit down and play Yakuza, and then the sun would go down, I'd eat again, and then go to sleep. And I did that for 3 months. I played and completed Yakuza 0, and I maintain that it's still probably one of the greatest games that I've ever played. I can't say I can do that these days. I can still play a lot of video games, but that's like almost to the point of it being unhealthy. Yeah, everyone remembers. Oh, it was incredible, and that's why I still talk about it to this day. It was amazing. I would go to sleep. I would go to sleep thinking about the game, and I'd wake up thinking about the game. That is so, especially among adults, that is so rare. And I envy people that can kind of bottle that and put themselves in that headspace where they just like, it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna play, Destiny for 10 hours today. That's insane. Like, the adult gene, like the adulthood thing kicks in. It like, your genus kicks in and like says like, hey man, like it's been 6 hours, can you like go do something else, you motherfucker? And your body's like, alright, and you'll go like buy groceries or like clean the sink or do something. But as a kid, and especially as like a directionless teenager with a part-time job and no expenses, you can just go wild. Like, I don't do that anymore, thank goodness. So actually, the ally was killed thing, so the minions spawn, and those little beam dudes, where's the enforcer? He's around here somewhere. Oh, there he is. This little guy goes and gets himself in a fight with an eldritch god, like, say, this guy, and he picks a fight that he can't win, and then he dies. So every time you see minion was killed, that's because that is happening on the other side of the map. I hear you, Railroad, a lot of summers of custom games. It's kind of, there's people prattle on about, it's like, oh, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. I would give up a lot to go back and just have one more month of that. People I haven't talked to in years, people I never talked to again. Halo was definitely one of those games, but the one that I most recently remember is definitely Yakuza 0. Halo I had played obsessively. I played so much Halo, it still feels like a job. I still clock in for, 40 hours a week of Halo or whatever. I don't think never before, I think, have we been so in touch with that obsession. This is a relatively new concept, where 40 hours a day, yeah. The real grind, 40 hours a day. Did you see that guy? I would actually love to see the stats. I remember some guy playing Halo Infinite actually just was the first in the world, had a world first, hitting the highest rank in the game, Hero. Do you know what his schedule looked like? I'm very curious how much time it took to hit that rank, because it's a rank system. It's not an EXP system. It's not like Inheritor where, like, you know, you play enough Halo, you'll eventually hit Inheritor. It's a rank system, so you could feasibly go backwards. Yeah, rocket launcher. Quake's rocket launcher. Oh, he did? I had no idea. That's a bit of a conspiracy, isn't it? Huh. Well, that's the thing, right? I don't think it's because the person has no life. I think it's that they choose to spend it on something we don't find, or that's something that most people don't find interesting or don't find worthy. Think about your garden variety chess player. A chess player easily, like, say, for example, his name escapes me, but the inventor of Chess 960, which was supposed to take a lot of the opening theory out of chess. His name's not George Mikan, that's an NBA player. I don't know why my brain is telling me it's George Mikan. But, the inventor of Chess 960 claimed that the people that were studying opening theory and were dedicating their lives to chess were nerds with thick-rimmed glasses on computers. Which is ironic because the inventor of Chess 960 was spending upwards of 30 hours, better metric would be, say, upwards of 9 hours, 10 hours a day exclusively studying chess, and then playing chess for an additional 4 hours every day. And, you know, we view chess players with sort of this virtue that they're doing something that is worthy of their time. But essentially, it's the same exact thing as video games. It's just chess is a lot more lucrative and has a lot more legacy behind it than, say, a video game. Yeah, George Mikan. George Mikan actually is the reason we have a shot clock. I don't know why that factoid is sticking in my head. Something about George Mikan. George Mikan could probably play chess. A lot of competitive people, athletes, you know, video game players, whatever, a lot of them pick up chess on a whim because it's something that's essentially a very mentally strenuous exercise, which is something you need in everything, even athleticism. I like that round start. Hill. This map is a little too easy. I remember when I was getting in, I use the term in shape, but I assure you at this point in my life I was not in shape. I've kind of like molded myself like silly putty. I've just like stretched and squashed and been in all manner of shapes. But when I was training to play, goodness, how do I even explain this without sounding like a crazy person? So I had moved to, my move to New York was twofold. I wanted to play, I should probably give the real reason first. I wanted to get a higher paying job doing what I was doing, which was teaching, and I also wanted to play competitive fighting games in New York. I did not tell my parents the second part. So when I had come to New York, I would go to work, and when I would get out of work, I would go to the local venue, be that arcade, be that house session or whatever, and I would play for upwards of 8 hours. That would be twice a week. I would play in person, and then have a tournament on Saturday, and then every day, whenever I could, I would net play, meaning I would go online. Fighting games are fundamentally different online and off, but you know, for the sake of argument, it's good practice. I would net play for upwards of 6 hours a day, and that was all I would do. I would go to work, I would come home, I would play Street Fighter or Guilty Gear or anything, depending on what was, you know, the most popular game at the time, and then I would try to supplant my income with tournament winnings. So, did it work? Yeah. Did I like it? No. I took a couple tournaments here in New York, a couple locals, and one major for a retro game, no less. Or a retro game I did not practice. The games I poured myself into the most, ironically, were the ones I had the least success in, and the games that I did not give a fuck about, I had the most success in. So, you can probably find a photo of me holding up my second place trophy or my second place payout for a Street Fighter Alpha 2 tournament somewhere, but nonetheless, it was not fun. And I don't really know where I was going with this, but these days I am, for all intents and purposes, retired. So I can only imagine what it's like doing this as your job, playing a video game competitively as a job. Because I've lived it, at least for a little while, for about 2 years. I like newer games. I think it's not newer games that are the problem, and it's not that older games are it's not that older games are better. I think we might be doing some subconscious gymnastics with older games that, because they're old, we view them as more impressive than they are. For example, like, this level design is incredible, and Quake has, you know, a good loop. I think it's pretty cool. But by and large, this could be kit bashed in Unity in about 5 minutes. I think a lot of the weight comes behind it that, you know, this is an engine from 1996 that, you know, the community for this map jam have made into something so special and so interesting. But I don't know. There are new games that I could say are incredible, and there are old games that I could say are terrible, so I'm not exactly sure what the formula looks like. The hardest thing I had to learn when I was playing fighting games competitively is you are not good. no matter what you could possibly, no matter how you rationalize it, I was terrible. Because there will always be somebody stronger, no matter anywhere you go. And in New York especially, it was very, very hard to, because I had played competitive Halo before, it was very, very hard to come to terms with a loss when you knew it was holistically your fault, or wholly, unilaterally your fault. And that eventually burned me out. I got into it for the wrong reasons, truth be told. I should have put passion first and not performance first. But hey, lesson learned. I might come back someday, but just stop being fun. I was coming home essentially angry. I would put my performance on such a pedestal that it just wasn't sustainable. It wasn't fun. Actually, if you want to look at the overall health of the industry, I think video games have never been better. Simply because you can go back and play these older games. Now, there's something to be said on whether or not that'll be the case in 15, 20 years from now. Where, you know, hardware will fail, and even beyond games being killed if they're pitched as services, you know. If it hadn't been for... shit. If it hadn't been for Aleph Null... Aleph? If it hadn't been for AN, you wouldn't even be able to play Marathon anymore. Unless you wanted to break out your old Macintosh. And even then, is it worth replaying in that state? Locked to 30 FPS? With absolute, utterly terrible mouse aim? Although in some ways we have gone backwards. I can't say exactly where, but we have. My minion is doing work. He's actually just soaking up all this aggro. I can just probably sit here and he could just spawn in and solve the problem. Yep, there he goes. Look at him go. I want to watch this fight. Damn. Stone cold killer. He has 2 kills. He has 3 kills. He's working on an ace, man. I'm gonna jump off the side of the map and try another map. I would totally... If I could have my cake and eat it too, I like modern fidelity, but I would like retro sensibilities. I think game feel is such a nebulous concept, and it can't really be defined. It's like, why does Quake's shotgun feel sort of weak? Why does the axe not feel that satisfying, but the rocket launcher is one of the greatest in video game history? You know, it's like, that sort of stuff is very hard to define outside of, well, it sounds cool, or, well, it's a bit weak, you know. That's very, very hard. Very, very hard to pin down. So if we could bottle game feel, bottle that, that sort of old school magic that makes the CE pistol so cool, or, you know, Halo 2's music so incredible, I would just sort of duct tape that onto a modern 4K 120 FPS, you know, unicorn vomit sort of system. But I'm not sure. I think there are plenty of good games coming out that are pushing the industry forward, but it's very, very easy to find yourself with a bit of a negativity bias because we're constantly surrounded and inundated with just sort of, I don't want to call them bad actors because they're essentially doing a good job. You know, they're muckraking, they're showing the seedy underbelly of the industry for what it is. But in all, I might as well name names. You know, every video that Charlie, that Critical, makes about a bad game is a video he's not making about a good game. And, you know, the opposite of, to ape a quote, you know, Frog quote, the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And being indifferent to the good games and absolutely loathing the bad games and wasting your time on hate is essentially just letting a lot of these, whoa, this is nice. Letting a lot of these incredible games sort of fall into the undertow, you know? You dig? Look at that. That's cool. I don't know if that's a texture. So that, you know, the nice ice white sort of marble architecture and the lava refracting, so you can tell even by looking here that there's something really hot down there. That's neat. You know, this is why I'm playing Quake today. Because, you know, the level design community, the guys that are still making maps for this game they're wizards. Look at how this flows. I would deathmatch here. This is just nice. It's just, I would hang out here. Alright, let's grab that pack. They gave me the shaft? Okay. You know, actually, in the new video, I'm using ODST music. I'm missing. I'm beefing. I can't get over how pretty this is. It's like, I wouldn't change a damn thing. I love the nice spotlights on the spiral staircase. I think most recently there was a controversy. I can't say if I don't consume content. I don't engage with his videos or engage with, say, any sort of that shoot from the hip style of reporting. But I know there was a recent controversy about and I'll be accused of being a shill, but there was a recent controversy about Ubisoft deleting accounts and therefore games from inactive accounts in about 90 days. And I think that was massively blown out of proportion because I can't prove it, but that sounds illegal. That sounds really fucking illegal in most places on the earth. I don't think in America, because you're technically buying a license. But nonetheless, it's far easier to see something on Twitter or by extension any social media and make a video reacting to that tweet and then moving on with your life instead of doing your research, you know, waiting for the response, getting all your facts. You know, by that point, you've already missed the wave because things are just simply moving so fast. By that point, you've already missed the wave and might as well just get a head start on the next controversy. does not... You're not being rewarded for being a smart reporter. You're being rewarded for being a fast reporter. And I think that's a very dangerous precedent to set for game news because, you know, game development is slow. I can only imagine how it must feel to have, you know, somebody pass judgment on your game in about 30 seconds when you've spent easily a third of your life working on it. And by extension, it seems almost kind of like arcane, or how would I say this? It almost seems like just plain weird how we pass judgment on games. How some games are just good for some reason, and some games are just terrible and the worst thing you've ever played. Like, I don't know why. I bring this up practically every opportunity I can. I don't know why exactly do we think 343 Industries, bring me up to speed here, why exactly do we think 343 Industries is the worst game developer? Why do we think that again? Why is that the take we've all rallied behind? I'm kind of getting my wires crossed on what the message is supposed to be. You think that 343 Industries is the worst game developer because they patched the Master Chief Collection so that the Halo CE visuals are on par with retail? You know, which is work that the community couldn't even do in 10 years, that 343 got done in 6 months? You think that 343 Industries is the worst company because, you know, they are actively patching Infinite and didn't abandon it and just totally take the money and run, and that they're trying? You think that they're the worst? You know, I have my hate for Blizzard, but it stops and ends at them just being run by autocrats. You know, it's just like the leadership at Blizzard is some of the worst I've ever seen. They're on par with like Monsanto. You know, Bobby Kotick is probably the devil. You know what I mean? But like, that doesn't make everyone at Blizzard, you know, just fucking expendable. That doesn't mean we could just throw out everyone at Blizzard that ever worked on anything. You know, there's passion at those studios. No one is setting out to make a bad game. You can hate the management and not hate the developers. But it seems like every time this comes around, because Halo, despite being less relevant, is still more relevant than ever, every time Halo seems to come around in the news cycle, it's just a call and response. 343 bad. Over and over and over again. It does not matter what they do or what they plan to do, how many wins they've had, how hard they have worked. It does not matter, because Crobecat made a video that said Bungie was better 2 years ago, and that's just what we're sticking with. You know what I mean? That bothers the fuck out of me. And I used to be like that. I used to be like that. I remember, I don't even know if I've told this story, but I've told it before in private. But yeah, it's like, have you played Splash Site? I might boot that up. I played a little bit of it. What is his name? Anka? Neote Anka? His music, I've heard a little bit of it, but he's repurposed some of his old tracks for Splash Site, and they kick ass. They're all incredible. It's like I'm playing Ridge Racer. It's so cool. But nope, 343 is the worst game developer. No, 343 is the worst game developer for green lighting dig site and, you know, giving us buckets upon buckets of free mods in the pipe. You know, they could have just as easily never touched the MCC again. They could have just as easily never brought it to PC. In fact, it would have been less work. But they didn't. See what I mean? It's like, very clearly they give a fuck. So, why? I mean, Bungie is an incredible game developer, but there's this strange tribalism going on that I don't understand. And that really irks the shit out of me. You know, it's like... And I really don't have a horse in this race, but it feels... I think we'll see it again with Marathon, where Marathon could be ho-hum, it could be, you know, uneventful, and, you know, that's fine. Millions of games release every year that don't move the needle whatsoever. But because Bungie is Bungie, you will have people on both sides that seem they can only make headway if they take the most polarizing approach possible. to, you know, talking about a game. It's either, every game is either the worst game you've ever played or the best game. And that's really, really fucked up. But nonetheless, I'm getting preachy. Let's talk about the only time I've ever been wrong. No, it's much more nuanced than that. Let's talk about the shift, because, you know, it's like Krobcat has been making videos for a long time, and he's had a lot of fans have kind of gone through the meat grinder under his watch. Nothing is safe. You know, Krobcat essentially ends game studios. He's got that much power. But I remember talking about college. Funny how it all comes full circle. My freshman year of college was 2015 to 2016. And something else very, very interesting happened my freshman year of college. The Halo 5 beta launched in 2015. And the game, I believe, there's an enemy somewhere around here. I don't know where they are. But this makes it nice and serene. I can talk. The Halo 5 beta also came out in 2015, and the game came out in 2016 or hit that holiday release window. I'm really not too sure. Oh, the Fiend down there. Hello. So anyway, I was a dyed-in-the-wool Bungie diehard. I had been wrong before. Everyone's been there. You know, you're young. You're very, very patriotic. And I did not like the direction 343 was taking with Halo 5. I had not even followed media coverage about the game. I had essentially made my mind up just simply hearing that there would be another Halo game and it would not be made by Bungie. And I think a lot of people share that belief. You know, it's a common sentiment. But I was dug in. So, what did I think of it? I was invited over to my good friend's dorm room, and we would play Halo in the common area. We had played Halo before, and we were going to play Halo 5 specifically in the common area. You know, it was a Bungie household. And I can recall walking in, and within 3 seconds, I had made my mind up. This was the worst game I had ever played, and I would spend the next, probably close to the next hour, doing nothing but shitting on everything I could possibly see or find out about the game. I would have my phone. I had my phone open on my lap, and I would be looking up things about the game because I didn't even know Halo 5 was coming out beyond the title card. And I would just shit on everything I possibly could. This armor looks like shit. Arena mode doesn't make sense. Yada yada yada. Where are the elites? I bet the campaign's gonna be bad. I was making assumptions. I wasn't just, you know, calling it like I see it, because it's easy, you know, look at, I'll do it right now. It's like, oh wow, this looks like, these graphics are old. I can't play this, you know. It's easy to just, you know, call it from the hip like that. And I remember very specifically, it was an arena match in the beta. You could play like the social multiplayer and the competitive arena mode, which have like different starts. You started with an SMG, you know, they gave you that new, it's like actually pretty unique stuff, all things considered. They gave you like a unique little rollout. I thought it was really cool in hindsight, and I'll tell you exactly why. They were playing arena mode, and the things you remember, you know, I suppose it was traumatic, but I'll cut to the chase. They were playing arena mode. I was out of the hot seat. I had already played a couple rounds. It was okay, you know, by and large, but, you know, dyed-in-the-wool Bungie fan over here, myself. I was not happy. I was livid, even. And I remember a friend of a friend, whom I had barely associated with, barely talked to, he looked at me and he said, "Tim, what the fuck is your problem?" That's all he had to say. That's all he had to say. And I never forgot that moment. I had no response. I was so totally taken out of my element that, you know, this tribalist thinking, this like brutal, scathing criticism, which wasn't even really criticism, it was essentially just whining I had been giving, was doing nothing. It essentially just bounced off the game and just ruined the whole experience for everyone. So in that moment, just being told to shut the fuck up. Just that one moment, I had totally changed trajectory. I think I had totally changed trajectory. That's dogma. That's doctrine to me. It's, if you don't have anything nice to say, just shut the fuck up. You know, it's like there are, and it expands. It's like there's layers to it where it's like, why was I saying that? Why was I just being a stick in the mud and, you know, essentially just throwing shit all over nothing and ruining the experience for everyone else. And even if they didn't enjoy the game, you know, just essentially bringing everybody down for what? For what? Tim, what the fuck is your fucking problem? I wish I could, like, text them. Yeah, it's like, I wish I could just contact them and be like, you fucking fixed me, dude. Look, all I needed was that little bit. It's like that little tick, you know what I mean? It's that little, like, why? Why? Why do you, why hate? Why? Why, if you don't like it, why are you here? Why are you, and that goes for anything, right? You could do a modern example. Why waste precious minutes of your life retreading the same tired arguments that angrier people will essentially make and articulate better than you ever will or could? Why should I waste an entire stream saying Destiny 2 sucks when I could just, you know, think, yeah, Destiny 2 ain't great, I don't like the monetization, and then just have it end and just not play it and just go play Quake, or, you know, boot up the MCC and play Crash Site again? You know, why do I have to waste so much energy for essentially nothing? Why do we do that? And obviously there's something to be said about, you know, a modern commentator who makes it his job, who makes it his whole existence to just whine, to complain. The critic's word is worth nothing. It's worth absolutely nothing. It's worth less than nothing. You do not create art. Through critique, you do not create art. And without art, you would be worthless. Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly my point, Darth. It's like, even if it's bad, even if it's terrible, it amounts to a video game. Is that really what you want to spend your oxygen on? Is that really? Oh, I'm dead. Is that really where you want to go? You don't have to. You don't have to be perpetually angry. You don't have to make your personality hatred. Hating popular things doesn't make you an interesting person. On the flip side of that, obviously, you know, liking popular things doesn't make you an interesting person either, but I'd rather hear somebody talk about how passionate they are about Halo 5 and War Games or Warzone or whatever, you know? Just, you can move on. You can just move on. Nothing is stopping you. You can just let go. And it's funny that revelation came to me on the back of, Tim, what is your fucking problem? It's funny that that's how it had to shake out. But, you know, if I needed to learn that lesson any other way, I don't think I would. I couldn't have it explained to me like that. I couldn't have it explained to me like, Tim, you're just wasting your time. I needed to be embarrassed. I needed to be essentially raked over the coals for what was essentially, you know, worthless criticism. Worthless criticism. Worthless. And, you know, having revisited it, Halo 5 gave me my favorite version of the Arbiter theme. Albeit indirectly, but the Arbiter in Killer Instinct, his stage and his theme is incredible. In fact, I'm gonna pull it up and play it. I'm gonna pull it up and play it. Because it's amazing. If Halo 5 never came out, we would never have gotten the Arbiter's theme. More specifically, the interlude, but listen to this shit. Actually, yeah, okay. Like, it's amazing. How they're using, like, motifs from Halo 2. Like, that's incredible. And this is because of Halo 5. A little bit of broken gates in there. That's amazing. Alright, let's find another, I'll admit this riff doesn't go crazy, but for a fighting game theme, you know, for a Halo fighting game theme, Halo fighting game music, this is really, really good. A little bit of the monk melody in there. So it's like you can never tell, you can never truly know if art you hate is going to inspire art you love. So why on earth would you sort of smother art that you hate? Because then you're guaranteeing that nothing will ever become of it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's, you can't, why can't we all just get along? These are just funny little video games. There are so many more poignant and relevant things to get angry about. Video games should not be one of them. They should not. And you know, that expands to Marathon. If the new Marathon is terrible, if you pop that disc, I don't even know if it'll be on a disc. If you pop that disc in your console and your console explodes, you know, that'd be pretty bad. But I guarantee you that is not what's going to happen. If it's bad, you just don't have to play it. You just don't. The original games are always going to be there. There's something to be said on Marathon inspiring a trajectory in the industry, but I guarantee that everyone that has ever said that has not finished their backlog. You can always go back. You can always go back. And in many cases, going back has actually influenced the industry to make positive changes. Boomer shooters inspired Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, which are two of the greatest shooters released in the last 10 years. 343 going back gave us Dig Site. I was speculating in the Marathon Discord with some of the other acolytes, you know, trying to not embarrass myself with how little I actually know about the lore. If I could, you know, speculate and extrapolate here, I would think that the new Marathon is make or break for Bungie, and I think they're very, very hungry. And what I mean by that is, just to get away from all this negative talk, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to prove to their fans, essentially, I mean, let's not mince words, that they give a fuck. You know, it's like, it's very easy to take what shortcomings Destiny has and expand and extrapolate those to the rest of the company. Because Bungie has made essentially their existence Destiny for the last 10 years. So anything that you dislike about Destiny, you can say you dislike about the company. But Bungie has been around longer than Destiny, and they will be around longer than Marathon. So what I see Marathon as is it's sort of an experimental game. It's a game as a service, sure, and I'm not exactly on board with that idea. But we know it's not primarily a PvE game. So you can't exactly monetize, you know, the way you have with Destiny. Destiny will still exist and will continue to exist, throughout Marathon's development. So they can't exactly make it Destiny. It can't just be a Destiny reskin. I have a feeling Marathon is going to go places. There's a very good reason. There are very good reasons, both game development wise and business wise, that they did not want to make a single player shooter. I've come around to that idea. So what are those reasons? Well, for one, you know, the tragedy of Halo. The reason that they made Destiny was the vast majority of consumers do not care about the single player campaign. So how do you make them care? Beyond how you can monetize them, beyond how you can sort of take advantage of innate human nature, you know, with the Skinner box, how can you make them give a fuck about Marathon's story? Well, you make it an event. You make it a world story. You make an extraction shooter with Marathon's narrative that unravels as the community participates. So it works at the pace of the community and not the pace of an individual player. And that means that everyone can consume the story in a unique way. You know, you could get a lot out of Marathon by playing it once a week and reading up on the developments among the community in the interim. you don't have to finish the game to finish the story. And I think that could be very, very revolutionary if they play their cards right. And I have that positivity bias because Bungie has been doing very, very good things with Destiny. I have a feeling that they painted themselves into a corner. There are some mistakes made along the way, but it is a hell of a lot better than when they were shackled to Activision. You know, say what you will about momentum and say what you will about the changing of the guard at Bungie, but I think Marathon will turn out pretty good. And you know what? Here's the deal. Here's the thesis. And you know what? If it doesn't, I've got Marathons 1 through 3 right on my desktop. AN will play them on anything. I could play it on my fucking telephone. And Marathon 2020X or 2023 or 2020Z or whatever can just be a footnote in the history of an incredible franchise that inspired one of my favorite games of all time. It can begin and end just as easily. You know, that's it. It's all you have to do. It's all you have to do. And ironically, I think that I don't want to sell the game to you, right? But I think that, you know, running a story as a service, running that world story, you know, like Destiny, for example. I remember when Destiny 2 first released, I didn't get a chance to play it. And I can recall poring over what the community was discovering in this new world. And you can easily expand that to an extraction shooter. You know, Bungie's writers have had some off years, have some off chapters, but they're still Bungie's writers. You know, you do not get on staff at Bungie if you're not incredibly passionate and a little weird. So I hope in that regard Marathon pushes boundaries. That's all we can hope for. I want to push boundaries. And it's pretty damn easy to push boundaries in a genre that doesn't exist. Extraction shooters, there are 3 extraction shooters, and Marathon is one of them. You know, so it's pretty early, but I'm very, very excited. And I think I made this joke before. You know, Bungie's art team never ceases to amaze. The retrofuturism art style is really, really cool. You know, the game could detonate my PlayStation or whatever the hell I decide to play it on. The game could detonate my computer tower, and you know what? That's fine, because I'll get a couple cool desktop backgrounds out of it. The game could be the worst thing I have ever played in my entire life, but the art from the trailer we have seen, that 3D CG trailer, was already so incredibly striking that I have like 7 profile pictures for when it comes out. And the game could stop and end just as easily right there. It's just, I'm zen. I'm so above it all. I can't even imagine, you know, people that are on pins and needles thinking that this is going to be the end of their lives if Marathon turns out to be bad. I can't even imagine. Yeah. Although I haven't had a video game background. I've had a couple awkward conversations as a child or as a teenager when I'd have friends and family come over and your parents would do the obligatory "and this is our son's room" sort of thing, where they throw open your door without warning, and I've had to explain a couple strange choices for desktop backgrounds. So I took that into my adulthood, and now these days I just run a black background. I don't even have desktop icons on my desktop. It's too much to explain. And this is our son's room. It's like it comes to the point where like straight up pornography would be easier explained. Man, Quake is awesome. Alright. Alright, Rover. Do me a favor. Find someone over 35. Actually, we'll make it a nice even 40. Find someone over 40, and which do you think you could explain faster? Pornography or the Forerunners? If you had a picture of Installation 04 on your desktop, you know, a nice wide picture of the Halo ring, you know, 3D render of the Halo ring, do you think you'd be able to explain that faster? Or do you think you'd be able to explain a couple compromising paths? Which do you think? Which do you think? And you need to be honest. You are being quizzed. Could you explain what a shield world is to somebody who was born in 1968? No, do you think I lie to you guys for fun? I'm spitting. Although, yeah, but remember, that's not what I said. I said very specifically, which could you explain? And I even picked an easy IP. Halo is pretty easy to digest. I've played through Marathon a couple times, you know, especially, you know, doing level select to skip some really tough stuff. I could not tell you what the fuck Durandal's motive is. Like, I know it's immortality, but beyond that, you know, that's like and everyone wants to be immortal. You could, you know, throw yourself in front of a bus and technically be immortal if you believe in heaven, you know? So, like, it's not immortality. It's a little more confusing than that. Man, I need explosives. Hope my minions are okay. Yeah, long night, I guess. I wanted to boot up Marathon 2 for you guys last night, but to tell you the truth, I got back, and I just kind of just crashed. Quake is, that's not off topic, Quake is awesome. There's like a flow to it, you know what I mean? It's like, a lot of it comes down to just having good movement. Like, it's just, I don't know. There's kind of like a purity to it. If like you've ever watched like game development talks or streams or whatever, you they eventually like show you their gray boxing, like they show you their like proof of concept for a level, or you know basically the bare minimum, like the bare brushes, the broad strokes of what they're trying to make, and it looks clean and just like it just looks really clean and visually appealing. That's just Quake all the time. You know, the low poly count, you know, literal, like, if you play this game on Steam, the vanilla version, there's no soundtrack. Like, there was a soundtrack, but it was ambient anyway, so it was very, very subtle. It's just a flow. And my favorite thing about Quake, and every Quake, even Quake games that don't have sort of bunny hopping or, you know, this crazy air control style movement, is the levels come to feel less like real places and more like fucking skate parks. So let me give you an example. I'll walk over here. Quake has very interesting movement. When you're learning, it feels very unintuitive, but once you figure it out, you start to see every level as just like this weird fucking skate park. So for example, right here, we have this little unassuming slope. So when you jump on slopes, your momentum is redirected upward or downward based on the direction you're heading on the slope. And it's subtle on something with such a low grade like this, but while I'm going down, you can see my jump was very, very short. So you get these real unique moments where you'll interact with the level in a neat way, like, you know, doing a circle jump off of the top of one of these ramps to get some extra height. Or just bunny hopping around the map and just doing a clean strafe like this. It feels good. It feels very visceral. You kind of like... Good Quake players aren't so... Ironically, like good Quake World players, guys that still play the original multiplayer for this game, aren't so much great at aim, although they have tremendous reflexes, I would be trounced. So much as they're really, really good at moving their character, just kind of like having it be an extension of their actual arms and legs. It's just smooth. I think a big part of it is Quake movement synergizes with how characters have a lot of health. So as a byproduct of, you know, the game being 3D, Quake could not nearly push as many enemies on screen as Doom. Doom 2, and by extension Plutonia, the fan-made mods that became retail expansions for Doom, really fucking pushed the enemy count, like, into the hundreds. The final map of Plutonia, Go To It, I think has upwards of like 300 monsters. It's like insane, which is paltry for a modern Doom map, but is still, you know, a tremendous amount of dudes you have to fucking fumigate. So Quake, you know, I've killed 210 monsters, but I've also been on this map for close to 30 minutes. Individual fights are subtle because everyone is drawn with polygons. So, you know, even the Scrag here, this little wizard guy, takes an uncomfortable amount of damage before he dies. Knights die in, I think, 4 shotgun blasts. Scrags die in 1, 2, 3, 4. So each of these are 4, right? So you're prolonged dodging, where, you know, in Doom it would be, oh, super shotgun, bang, you're gone. You know, you don't have to be right for a very long time. Whereas, you know, fighting a fiend, or or fighting an ogre, I have to dodge at least probably 3 grenades. There's 1, I got lucky. What about fiends? You know, fiends are pretty tough. So, like, you have a really prolonged fight with these guys. You have to really take in your arena because they're so tanky. And, you know, at release, it kind of felt a little lame, but when you turn up the difficulty and, you know, play with a good mouse, and, you know, I actually run, I don't know if it shows in the bitrate, it actually might make the stream a little crusty, but, I actually run Quake at a locked 1,000 frames a second, and you can notice. So, this game pulls its inputs 1,000 times a second, and you can feel it. It feels really buttery. It feels buttery. And I don't have a crazy beefy rig. It's like I can just run this game at 1,000 frames a second because the ogre is made up of like 30 polygons, like 30 triangles. Knights even less. When designing Quake's maps, Sandy Peterson, American McGee, you know, the original staff that did software, they would actually walk around the levels with a developer command enabled that showed them their overdraw. And if they hit a limit on certain polygons, like, you know, they had speed concerns. So if they hit a limit on how much they were drawing, they just straight up put a big wall in the way. So they could walk around the levels without slowing down too much. In fact, John Carmack, or one of the artists, I think maybe Adrian Carmack, actually created, one of the guys that did, I think it might have been Adrian, created a nice little piece of art for the game's demo, where if you were running the game too slowly, they would put a little turtle on the side of your screen. So when Quake first released over the internet, over BBS, when the Quake shareware first released, people were so in a fever pitch, everyone downloaded it to try and play it. And the first piece of news that came back about the shareware demo, known as Q-Test, which was a multiplayer test sweep, was that there was a turtle in the bottom right of the screen, which meant that, you couldn't run it. I always found that interesting that, something like this would bring a Pentium CPU from back in the day to its knees, and here I am on, this tremendous Ryzen setup, just not even breaking a sweat. I could probably render 10 videos in the background while I played this. Yep, the Quake Turtle. I think actually, let me see if I can spawn him for you. So I will FPS max 10? Oh, host max FPS. There we go. So see, 1000 hertz. Let's bring it down to 10. Okay, we're at 10. Let me lower the screen size. Yeah, this is 10 FPS. You can certainly feel it. Huh. Let me... Not very long. Don't worry about it. Sorry guys, I did my best to summon the turtle, but I think 10 FPS might actually be too high. I would have to mess with my screen settings. In fact, that's the last thing we're gonna do. So, before I call it, because it's been a couple hours, I'm gonna see if I can summon that fucking turtle. So this screen size commands, or game, HUD opacity, turn that up. Interface scale. There we go, look at that. That's cool. Weird. This feels higher than usual. I might. Chilling. HUD opacity, UI scale. I want to summon the fucking turtle. HUD detail. No, HUD style. Show gun. I haven't fucked with half of these commands. Okay, is it UI scale? Curious. UI scale? Nope. Scale UI. UI. Query. Nope. Quake's console is hard to deal with. Oh, sweet. Check that out. So the UI scale actually made my crosshair smaller. That's neat. I didn't know I could do that. It's cool. Alright, well, I'll find the turtle and I'll post the turtle. Otherwise, we're done. I'm out of here. See you later, guys. Go play some Halo. I'll see you in... Yeah, he's walking on his way here. He's just really fucking slow because he's a turtle, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go get something to eat, I think, and then I'm gonna crunch to get the video done, probably. So, tentative upload for the new Vidmaster Forever once I get the voice work recorded. 12, 18 hours? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Quake is like $5 on Steam. If you guys like this stream, you should play it yourself. The official port by Night Dive actually has a survival mode similar to this. Alright, see you later.